Welcome back. Even as Democrats on the committee that handles impeachment are launching a sweeping corruption investigation that could provide the basis for impeachment, most Democrats on the Hill are stopping short of using the I word. Joining me now is a member of the House Judiciary Committee, Texas Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being here. Jerry Nadler, the chairman of your committee, said that this probe is looking into obstruction of justice, public corruption, and abuse of power. When you look at this and you look at everybody that's been called and all of the documents that they're requesting, is this an impeachment hearing in everything but name?
Well, first of all, I think, Katie, it's important to distinguish the work of the special counsel and members of the United States Congress, particularly on the singular committee for investigations dealing with the question of the rule of law. The Mueller report was looking into the potential and possibilities of federal crimes. The Congress has the ability to be the nurturer, the custodian of the question of the rule of law. And that's what the House Judiciary Committee, in its responsibility of adhering to the Constitution, is doing. We're doing a methodical, page by page, block by block investigation and providing to the American public in an open manner, unfettered, questioning of individuals and review of documents that will help tell the story of this administration. And those elements include public corruption, obstruction, and the potential abuse of power. Now, out of that, building blocks may come, if you will, the point and time that we look at other responses to this administration, but we're in no hurry, because we think our duty is to be able to explain what the rule of law is in this country. And it does involve issues with the Constitution and, of course, issues of integrity.
So when Chairman Nadler said he is building a public record, you're basically saying that you're building a public record that could lead you to full-on impeachment hearings.
Well, no, what I am saying is that the public record is crucial. Everyone knows that an impeachment process is a political process. It means that the people speak. We do have a provision in Article 1 that deals with the responsibilities of Congress and its oversight responsibilities. And we do know that a president of the United States can be impeached. We've seen proceedings before. But as we do so, we know that the American people rise to the occasion to say enough is enough. We want to make sure that we are the custodians of truth. That is what our responsibility is. And as I look at the list dealing with the individuals being asked for documents, Michael Cohen, who gave us a litany of various trails to go down, mentioned, of course, that his testimony had been altered when he made it to Congress. He has admitted that he lied. He is now going to jail for that. But he mentioned that one of those who helped edit his testimony, as I understand it, was Jay Sekulow. That individual is on the list. White House counsel McCann is on the list as relates to a memo that he may have written about the inappropriateness of trying to demand security clearances for one person versus another. Roger Stone is on the list, and we heard from Michael Cohen a very shocking conversation that Roger Stone actually called the president and said, it is going to be a major email dump to harm, hurt, and undermine the candidacy of then-candidate, former Secretary Hillary Clinton. And that dump occurred. And the president was knowledgeable of that. And with all of that in place, those are trails that we have an obligation to investigate.
Chairman Nadler also said that he believes it is clear the president has obstructed justice. He believes it's clear that he's violated the emoluments clause. Michael Cohen said that he committed a felony while he was in office, and he had the checks signed by Donald Trump that he says prove that. Do you agree with Chairman Nadler? Do you believe that the president might have committed a crime?
Well, I think as we have looked at all of the documents, we're certainly near that. We certainly have evidence of intent, and we certainly have evidence, when I say that, documents and testimony of others that show that something went awry. For example, the check that Michael Cohen copy of very openly and very directly held up the monies that were utilized to pay regarding Stormy Daniels during the time of the president's service to this nation, and the fact that it came out of a private trust or a trust under his jurisdiction, that begs the question of whether or not a crime has been committed and therefore warrants the Judiciary Committee's pursuing that line of questioning.
You say there's evidence of obstruction. If there is evidence of a crime that's been committed, do you think that that should lead to impeachment?
Now, what I would argue, Katie, is that we are in the midst of a building block. We're in the midst of building an evidentiary story, and that impeachment is a political process, and it draws upon the views of the American people. If we do our work right, if we do it fairly, without bias, without any attempt to get you, not a got you approach, then I think the American people will ultimately make determinations that will cause us to look at a variety of ways to respond to what we have.
I understand.
We're not prepared to make immediate judgments on that right now.
I understand you're calling it a political process, but I just want to delve in a little deeper and see where the line is when it comes to impeachment and whether it's only a political process. If the president is found to have violated the Constitution by violating the Emoluments Clause, by accepting bribes, gifts from foreign countries, if he's found to be guilty of that, and there's a court that's winding its way through Congress, if he's found to be guilty of violating the Constitution, is it Congress's duty to impeach him or to try to impeach him?
It may be Congressman's duty to look at high crimes and misdemeanors and find out whether all that you have just recounted and what we have found meet that test. And if that is the case, then there may be processes, as you have so indicated, that may begin. My individual view, of course, is different from what I think needs to be done as we go forward. So, again, the written language in the Constitution is high crimes and misdemeanor, and that will be determined by the facts that we glean and find. Remember, the smoking gun in the Nixon impeachment in particular was the tapes. Yeah. Once the tapes were found, there was no turning back. I don't think we're near the tapes. I think that we are moving in a direction to do our job and be methodical and look at every relevant document and look at the list of persons in the president's orbit, an extensive list of individuals who've had something to do with something that has gone awry. I'm just wondering, so for me, bird's eye view.
For me, I'm just wondering if a violation of the Constitution, and the president swore on the Bible that he would protect the Constitution when he was sworn into office in 2017, if he violated the Constitution, if it's found that he did that, it's unclear whether or not that would be a high crime and misdemeanor.
Well, the Constitution stands as a standard bearer for the rule of law. And as our investigation proceeds, and over again, the violations of the Constitution are clear, then I would say to you that we're moving into a space of high crimes and misdemeanor. But again, this committee's obligation is to, one, assess, and as our chairman has done, made general comments that we believe crimes have been perpetrated. Obstruction of justice seems to be well documented, but we want to make it where we're listening and listening to persons and looking at documents, because we're going to call these witnesses for the American people to hear, and we'll have documents to associate with their testimony. And then, of course, the question of public corruption. That combination begins to lay the groundwork for the constitutional act of high crimes and misdemeanors. We just don't want to say an action when we know that that action is partly an embrace of the American people. And as you well know, there are voices all over America crying for impeachment, and they have the right to do that. And that's a voice that will be heard, and we will provide the data and documentation for the Judiciary Committee to do its right job.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press Mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.